everybody. Brad from NOTACLUE Podcast here. How's everybody doing? I can't believe we have another episode right here. It's not going to be a long one. It's going to be a short one, just due to the fact that I procrastinated on this terribly, and I at least need to get this portion of it out. The rest of it will be done, I promise, before the rest of the season starts. This is going to be my NFL preview / predictions for the season. I wanted to do all of my fantasy stuff too. The only ones I'm going to do are the ones pertaining to tonight's game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the defending champ Tampa Bay Buccaneers, our buddy Bill, loving that, and the Dallas Cowboys. So let's just get right into this. We'll do the normal whoring. Spreaker.com/show/NOTACLUE Podcast. That's what you're listening to right now. Find it also on Spotify. You can find it on iHeartRadio. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on a whole bunch of places, wherever you can find your podcasts. Facebook.com/NOTACLUE Podcast. On that Twitter thingy, @NOTACLUEPod. Like I said, we're on YouTube. First name of the channel, NOTACLUE, all one word. Second is podcast. We're on Instagram, @NOTACLUE Podcast. Follow us there. Trying to get more active there as well. Trying to keep this train moving the best I can on the broken damn track that it is. But as always, for your support, thank you guys so much. Keep listening. I'm hoping that eventually the guys and I can get back together for all this crap, because honestly, these shows are much better with all of us together, because none of you guys just want to hear my goddamn voice all the time. But anyway, let's get into this. Let's do the predictions for the season. I have my predictor out. Instead of the top 6 teams, it's the top 7 teams making the playoffs. So I'm going to start with the AFC. I have, in the AFC, the number 1 team in the entire NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs. I have the Kansas City Chiefs 13-4. Technically, they have the same as the Bucs, but with the whole schedule and blah, 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 Chiefs are number 1. Buccaneers are number 1 in the NFC. The number 2 team I have in... Oh, also, by the way, before I keep going any further, comment any way you can to let me know what you think of these picks. Give me yours. I would actually really love to hear yours, and I could talk about them on future shows. So please, please, please. The number 2 team I'm going to have at a 12-5 record is going to be the Tennessee Titans. Some people are going to look at me like, what? But I think they're going to have much more improvement on the defensive side. And plus they play in a division where they have to worry about one team and they can beat up on the other 2 easily, and their schedule is quite favorable in my opinion. I have as the number 3 seed, I have the Ravens. The Ravens at 11-6. It's a solid 11-6 right there for the Ravens. I think the Ravens are just the Ravens. You're going to get what you get. The number 4 seed, people are going to hate me for this one, but I have the Patriots. With all the people coming back from the COVID hiatus, and then Mac Jones, I honestly, if it would have been Cam Newton as the quarterback, I would have had them much lower than that. I have a lot of hope for Mac Jones with that system, because I think Belichick will mold him Brady light, is what I will call it. He's not going to put up the numbers of Brady, but he will be Brady light. 5th, also at 11-6, they had a tie, but in the division record, Patriots had a better record. The Bills I have as the 5th seed. The number 6 seed, I have the Indianapolis Colts. They're going to be 11-6 as well. I think their defense is really going to be good, and their offensive line is damn good. It just depends on Carson Wentz staying healthy, and I think he'll be healthy enough-ish to actually put this team on his back enough. If he can't do it, then that 11-6 total goes right out the damn window. And then the number 7 seed is going to be the LA Chargers. I have them at 10-7, which sounds so weird saying these records. I'm so used to 10-6, 9-7. But 10 wins, Chargers 10-7. They're going to make the playoffs. And now I'm going to run through quickly and give you the other ones. I have the Steelers and the 8th seed at 9-8. The Browns also at 9-8, coming in at 9th. I have the Bengals at 10-8-9. The 11th seed, I have the Dolphins at 8-9. The 12th seed, I have the Broncos at 8-9 as well. The 13th seed, the Raiders at 7-10. The 14th seed, I have the Jets at 4-13, tied with the Jaguars at 4-13, but technically due to schedule and stuff, the Jaguars are 15th, and the Texans at 1-16, last in the AFC. Again, let me know what you guys have for your AFC, NFC rankings, and then when we get to the playoff stuff, you could also chime in on that too, because I'm also going to indulge those now so that it's on the record before the season. So, as I said, the number one team I have in the NFC, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the defending champs. It's when you return every single starter, it is hard to go against it. It seriously is. The number 2 seed I have is the San Francisco 49ers. Now, bear with me here for a minute. They have a very good wide receiving core. They have a great collection of rushers that's going to just, no matter who's out there, yards. And Jimmy G will hold his own, and Trey Lance can come in and just take right over. The Niners, I think they're in a good position with especially Lance as the backup, but I think 12-5. I'm stone serious about this. The number 3 seed I have, the Green Bay Packers at 12-5 as well. I can see it's Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. It's that train keeps moving as long as they're there. I don't care. Aaron Jones as well, but those are the two major components. Aaron Jones is after that, and then everybody else. But blah blah blah. The number 4 seed I have the Washington Football Team, or whatever they become, because that whole thing comes out with like the Red Tails, Red Hogs, all sorts of other names are on there. But for now, still the Washington Football Team. I have them as the number 4 seed overall in the NFC at a 10-7 record. The number 5 seed I have in the NFC, the Seattle Seahawks at 11-6. It's the Seahawks. It doesn't matter how crappy their defense might have become. Their offense is just that good. I'm sorry, it's that good. You have 2 elite wide receivers. You have an elite quarterback, and you have an above-average offensive line. That's all you need, really, when it comes to that. The number 6 seed, I have... This could be controversial for some, especially Bill. I have the Saints, 10-7. With Jameis Winston, they're a 10-17. With Taysom Hill, I'll be honest, 8-9. That's what I would have had it. I'm stone serious when I say that. Jameis Winston and Ryan Fitzpatrick are in the same mold. And I think both of them are going to be pretty good fantasy-wise. So, take that as what you will. And the number 7 seed squeaking into the playoffs, the Dallas Cowboys at 10-7 as well. They are the 7 seed. I honestly, if Dak is healthy this whole season, Zeke I think is going to have a bounce back. And their receiving core is just going to hammer the shit out of you. So here we go. I'm going to fire off the rest of the NFC right now. The Eagles, I have in the 8 seed. They're 9-8. The Rams, also at 9-8, in the 9 seed. The number 10 team in the NFC, I have the Chicago Bears at 8-9. That pains me saying that because I'm a giant Bears fan, but that's a very realistic number. 8-9, that is super realistic. That may even be generous. 7-10, 6-11, I could see it, but with the way the schedule played out, 8-9, fine with it. The number 11 teen seed, Arizona Cardinals at 7-10. I think that they need more pieces, but they're not terrible. 7-10 is not terrible. I have as the number 12 seed the New York Giants at 6-11. They're Kenny Golladay being hurt to start out the season. It just makes me think his injuries are going to keep going and keep going and keep going. Let me see here. The number 13 seed, I have the Carolina Panthers at 5-12. That doesn't seem like much, but that to me, that they're playing into the division with the Buccaneers and the Saints. It's going to be hard to get wins. It genuinely is. The number 14 seed, I have the Minnesota Vikings at 5-12. Honestly, they're going to be passing a lot because they're going to be losing a lot. So that's why I actually have Cousins, Jefferson. Cousins I actually have higher than what other people do, and Justin Jefferson I have a lot higher than people do. I wish I could have gotten him in some fantasy leagues, but I could not. Stone, honestly, couldn't get him. Number 15 seed, the Atlanta Falcons at 4-13. They need a lot of work. I'm glad they got Kyle Pitts to help, but it's Ridley and Pitts Pitts. Russell Gage, solid component, but he's not what Calvin Ridley was for a number 2, being honest. Mike Davis, not a bad running back. He'll catch a ton of balls. He'll run okay. I honestly have him as a good fantasy projector this year because of those receptions. I mean, just look what he did in Carolina when McCaffrey went down. He fit in very well. He actually did very well for people who picked him up. Gonna be honest. And then I have the Detroit Lions as the last ranked team in the NFC. Still 4-13. That's not terrible, but let's be honest. T.J. Hawkinson's their best weapon, total on offense. DeAndre Swift is there. He's a solid piece, but he's on that team. I'm sorry. Jared Goff is a downgrade technically from Stafford, but he's gonna get yards because 4-13. Guess what that means? Gun. So now let's get into the playoff season, if you will. So because of the way that it's set up, the 1 seeds are the only ones that get the byes. Remember, that's the Chiefs and the Bucks. So it'll be the Bills and the Patriots. I have the Bills upsetting the Patriots just because I think the Bills, with this team, can beat the Patriots head-to-head. I have them splitting the regular season and having them winning in this one right here. I have that, and that's going to be one of those games that go down to the wire, maybe even a made and or missed field goal toward the end. Then I have the number 2 seeded Titans against the Chargers. Titans beat the Chargers. Sorry, Charger fans. Titans are just a good team. Can't help it. Then the number 3 Ravens going against the 6 seed Colts. Ravens beating the Colts I have there. And then it's going to turn into the Chiefs versus the Bills, which is the 1 and 5 seed. I have the Chiefs winning that. Sorry, Bills fans. I know I live in New York State, but I have the Chiefs taking them down. I have the Titans squeaking by the Ravens. Very close game, like super close game. So that sets up the number 1 and 2 seeds, the Chiefs versus the Titans. I have the Chiefs winning in another very, very close game. That's going to be a hard-hitting game, too. Because Derrick Henry's going to pound. And Mahomes is going to throw. So that leaves the Chiefs going on to the Super Bowl yet again. NFC. Remember, the Buccaneers have the bye. The number 2 seed Niners taking on the Cowboys, who are the 7 seed. I have the Cowboys upsetting the Niners. Again, there is always one of those teams that do that in football every year. I chose the Cowboys this year. Not sorry. Washington football team against the Seahawks, the 4 versus 5. I have Washington winning that game in a squeaker. Packers and Saints. I have the Packers actually crushing the Saints in this one. There's nothing. I'm sorry. Packers going to roll right over them. Then it's the number 1 seed Bucks against the 7 Cowboys. The Bucks are going to destroy the Cowboys in that one. Again, sorry, not sorry. Buccaneers are going to win by at least 17 in that game. Sorry. Packers and Washington football team. I have the Packers beating the Washington football team by not a ton, by about 10. Not bad. So it leaves the Packers versus the Bucks. So Tampa Bay and Green Bay, the Battle of the Bays. I have Green Bay beating Tampa Bay. And the reason is Aaron Rodgers. He is going to want to make sure he at least gets there. Doesn't matter win, lose, or draw in the Super Bowl. He's going to show the Packers what they're going to be missing when he's gone. Which leads me to the Super Bowl. Chiefs beating the Packers, and I have that in a very close game. It's going to be tight. It's going to be... I think this Super Bowl, with this connection, is going to be one of the best Super Bowls to watch. It's going to be fire on fire on fire. So again, let me know. Let all the guys here know if you know any of our socials. We'll talk to each other. Remember, Spreaker.com/show/NauticalPodcast. You can talk to us through the app there. Facebook.com/NauticalPodcast. Send us messages there. On Twitter @NauticalPod. And on the comments through YouTube. First name of the channel, NauticalClue, all one word. Second word is podcast. If you know our personal socials, again, tell us there. So I'm going to quickly, and I mean quickly, I'm going to try to put together my fantasy list for the season. I have it started. I'm just saying, it's it's not completely done. I have it started. I have the quarterbacks. Pretty well done, and a bunch of players down. I specifically wanted to make sure I highlighted some of the players on the game for tonight, the Cowboys-Bucks game, so that way I at least get those on record as well. So first things first, I'm going to start with the quarterbacks. I'll start with Dak Prescott because he's the first one I just saw. So Dak Prescott this year, I'm going to assume he's going to be healthy. Again, all these stats are projected as in if they're healthy and starting week 1. Dak Prescott, I have 4,437 passing yards, 198 rushing yards. I have 36 touchdowns, passing touchdowns I should stress, 12 interceptions, not bad, and 2 rushing touchdowns as well. So that's 38 total touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Let me know if I'm low, high on any of that stuff. And then some guy named Tom Brady. I don't know who the hell that guy is. But Tom Brady, I have him down this year. 4,320 yards passing, 36 passing touchdowns, 14 interceptions. I also have 8 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns for Tom Brady. So again, too high, too low. Am I right on the money? Let us know there. I'm also going to now do for the wideouts. CeeDee Lamb 92 catches, 1,195 yards, 10 touchdowns. Amari Cooper 79 catches, 1,011 yards, 6 touchdowns. Chris Godwin 86 catches, 1,091 yards, 7 touchdowns. Mike Evans 78 yards, 991 yards, 8 touchdowns. You heard that right, not 1,000 yards, and more touchdowns than Godwin. I have for the tight ends in this game, I only did 2 of them. I have Gronk, 50 catches, 575 yards, 6 touchdowns. Blake Jarwin, 45 catches, 499 yards, 4 touchdowns. Again, let us know what you think. Am I too high, too low? Am I right on the money? I think these are reasonable. They're not terrible. They're not terrible at all. I think these are super reasonable. And then, before I cut the show off, I'm going to say, we here at the show want to congratulate Marvin Miller, Ted Simmons, Larry Walker, the great Larry Walker, Canadian great Larry Walker, the second Canadian and first Canadian position player to ever make it into the MLB Hall of Fame, and some guy named Derek Jeter, whoever the hell that guy is, for making the Hall of Fame. You know, the guy, he couldn't go 100% like Mariano Rivera. He was 99.7 or 8, whatever the hell the total is. Because, you know, one guy didn't want to vote him in. So, I'm going to also ask this question. Why aren't there more 100%? We've asked this before. Why haven't there been more 100% people in the Baseball Hall of Fame? Because there's a shitload of players that have played that should have been 100% that never were. Why do you guys think it was Rivera? Why do you think Jeter was one short? Is that just them going, yeah, we're not 100%ing. We give it to that guy because he's the greatest in that position ever. And he happened to come up now during this day and age. And Larry Walker getting in, that's great. Next year, do you think Bonds will finally get in? Let us know. Answer that question. Any of those guys, I should say. Do you think any of the guys who have been on it for a while that are up again up to their final time, really? And then next year's honoree or nominees, I should say. I'm looking at this list for the biggest names on it. You have Marlon Byrd, Carl Crawford, Coco Crisp, Prince Fielder, Justin Morneau, David Ortiz, Jake Peavy, A-Rod, Jimmy Rollins, Mark Teixeira. Okay, I'm going to get the big one out of the way, A-Rod. With A-Rod, he's Hall of Fame worthy, absolutely. He's tied in completely with the PED shit, so if he gets in, then all the other ones like Bonds, Clemens, every one of them should get in. Sorry, they should. Also Pete Rose, throwing that in there. I'm going to be honest, out of these guys, I don't find many of them really Hall of Fame worthy, except for David Ortiz. David Ortiz should go in right away. Again, his name was tied into the stuff, but not completely, but not verified and all that crap. So, it's hard to, it's hard to think about that. It's hard to really put him in the same vein as, all the other guys, but if I'm going to be honest, A-Rod and Ortiz are the 2 definites. Uh, I don't see any of the other guys honestly being that worthy. Like, they're great players. I was a huge fan of Justin Morneau, Prince Fielder, Jake Peavy, Jimmy Rollins, Teixeira, Carl Crawford, Marlon Byrd. Like, I was a big fan of all these. My niece, actually, when she was little, looked like Coco Crisp, which is weird, but it's true. It's... I wish I had a picture of the sign they made that they really wanted Coco Crisp to sign, but he never saw it, so it didn't matter. Who do you think out of that list should make it into the Hall of Fame? And give me a case for the not A-Rod or Ortiz, but all the other guys I said. Make me a case. I want to hear it, please. And with that being said, that's it for this episode. It's a small episode, but it's a taste of what's to come. So basically, welcome back to football tonight. Hey, can't wait. I'll be at work, but I'm going to be watching it. A guy I work with, he was super excited to know that I really like football, and when he comes in partway through the first quarter, he wants to make sure the TV at his station is on, and then the TV at my station is on, so we can shoot the shit about the game while it's going on and talk about fantasy football, because this is the time of season that I know CD loves, Keith, Bill, Brandon, Jason, all the guys who have been on the show, and everybody associated with our fantasy league love. Like, we talk about, like, when we do our show with all the guys, especially 75% of the time, everything rolls back to fantasy. It's true. It really does. So I know you guys do too, because when we do our fantasy stuff, you guys pay attention and interact. So that's why I want you to interact with us now. Again, let us know in our comment section on all of our socials, which you're going to get right now. Spreaker.com/show/NOTACLUE Facebook.com/NOTACLUE On that Twitter thingy at NOTACLUE YouTube channel, first name of the channel, NOTACLUE, all one word. Second is podcast. Also remember, find us on Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, iHeartRadio, anywhere you find podcasts, we're pretty much there, I believe. We're there. We're on a lot more than what we used to be on. We're on syndicated things all over the world now. Not like syndication, like, Brooklyn Nine-Nine and all that crap, but like we get distributed, I should say, to like India and all sorts of stuff, which we have a decent following. So thank you to the country of India. We really appreciate it. That's awesome. So on behalf of anyone who loves this show, anyone who's been on the show, thank you so much. This has been NOTACLUE Podcast. This has been the preview for the 2021 NFL season with a sprinkling in of some fantasy action and a little bit of MLB action as well from the Hall of Fame. So thank you guys so much, and that's it. Have a good one. Hope you guys take care. Enjoy.